Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my work of last week, which consisted of one of the things being chunky cookies, being 6 flavors, 3 new ones, and then 3 of my basic recipes. This is using my recipes that I have available for you guys on my website since last year, but until by the time this video is up, I'm gonna have available now my recipe for red velvet, and then I'll also be sharing my cookie bases for cookies with lots of mix-ins. For example, cookies, I ended up failing in the beginning. My cookies were very hard afterwards, even though I was like, this is the same base, like all I'm doing is just adding cookies, or whatever. For this case, Oreos. Why is it still super hard? And then I also will be having my base for cookies that I don't add fillings and chocolate chips. Sorry for that. And then as a little bonus, I'll add in my birthday cake, which that one's pretty simple, but it is a staple of mine, so might as well just have it written for you guys as well. So for the first flavor, I just ended up doing milk chocolate. I always love having just basic recipes or basic cookie options, as there's some people that just don't like a lot of mix-ins in their cookies. But more than anything, you can never go wrong also with the classic. And then I ended up doing my birthday cake, which you guys know my birthday cake is not just like confetti. I do add the extract that helps it taste like birthday cake. That's something that I did go ahead and also uploaded on my business profile, as a lot of people do get confused and think it's just a vanilla based cookie with sprinkles, which in my case I consider those two different things. When I call something confetti, then that means it's a vanilla base with just sprinkles, and then my birthday cakes do have the extract in them. So for my BISCOFF cookie, I forgot to say in my Spanish version, but I did add the crunchy version of the spread. You can use the crunchy or just the smooth Lottes or BISCOFF spread. I don't know why I said that. Or like I said, or you can use the crunchy. I personally like the crunch in them, so I used it. And then I go ahead and add my flour and the rest of my ingredients, all like my basic recipe. For this, I do feel like white chocolate chips is best. I have tried using milk chocolate, but I have also tried it with white chocolate. And as much as I'm not a huge white chocolate person, there's some variations that I do believe white chocolate belongs, and this is one of them, as well as being my birthday cake flavor. My birthday cake flavor honestly can be both. I will do both, but when I offer something of my original base or my original this, I do make sure that every single time it's white chocolate chips. Since I called it or my original, then it means when I call something my original, it has to be that same thing. Same with Veronica. Can I use semi-sweet instead of milk chocolate? Of course you can, but just make sure that every single time you're using the same one, as your clients do get used to the flavors you offer. And something like milk chocolate and semi-sweet do taste a little bit different. I personally do use milk chocolate for my original, and I call it my original milk chocolate base, so I have to use milk chocolate. So right here for my crumb cake, which I called it morning coffee because that's literally what it reminded me of, I do my typical base, but I did go ahead and add a teaspoon of cinnamon. All the measurements will be linked down below. Don't think I'm just blurring out. They'll be down below, so you guys can do the alternation onto the recipe that you guys will have obviously available to you to be printed out. But I did add a touch of cinnamon, and then I went ahead and added my crumb cake to it. I personally used store-bought. If you make it from scratch or you have some on hand, go ahead and use it. I didn't have some on hand, so I went ahead and used store-bought. Right here, here's another of my original basic recipes, which is using my red velvet base. This one as well, white chocolate chips. There's nothing no alternations. Like I said, it's my original base. I do suggest always only using about 2 teaspoons of food coloring. Don't overdo it. And like I always say, red velvet is not just a chocolate cookie. With red food coloring, you guys know it's more, I don't even know, sometimes it's even hard for me to describe it, but a vanilla slash chocolate. Like, it's not full intense chocolate, but it's not vanilla. But that tang of either buttermilk or apple cider vinegar is what gives it that red velvet taste. Please do not forget it or offer anything without adding any of those, as you know, it takes away the whole concept, and then that's when people start just considering it a chocolate red food dyed chocolate cookie when it's not. As you guys saw, I did also go ahead and just prepare my original base for just a simple mix-in cookie mix-in chunky cookie. But instead of using regular cocoa, I ended up using dark cocoa, which helped it taste more like Oreo. And also for my original base cookies with lots of mix-ins, I do add a little bit extra butter, but for this one I didn't add as much butter because I wanted those edges nice and crispy, so it tasted and had the texture like an Oreo. The center was still nice and gooey. I mean, I wouldn't say super gooey, obviously, like my crumb cake one, but it's still, I don't know, it was still nice and gooey in the inside, if that makes sense, and very nice and crispy on the outside like an Oreo. I called it Oreo. I did not call it cookies and cream because my cookies and cream would had white chocolate chips in them. I go ahead and freeze it, pop it in the freezer. I go ahead and make this either Monday and Tuesday, and then I just bake, well, I just bake a few just so I can make a video and promote it on my website before my sale day. And that's typically, if I do it Monday, Tuesday, then I'll bake Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on what day I made the dough. But the thing is, I leave it all night in the fridge, in the freezer. So this is the day that I am baking. I was doing this about 3 to 5 in the morning, and then my sale day is that next morning, around 10. So I make everything fresh, I bake it, leave it to cool down, and then I do wrap each cookie individually. One important thing with this is not mixing when putting in the oven, let's say my red velvet with Biscoff, because the temperatures the temperature doesn't differ, the time does differ sometimes by 2 minutes. I noticed that I leave my cookies a little bit longer when they have more mix-ins than when they don't. So that's why I don't go ahead and mix them. It's little things that you'll learn along the way. Again, each oven is also different. It could be a little bit, you know, time off. Mine can be 13 to 15 minutes. Yours can be 15 to 17. Each oven is completely different. Mine bakes only well in the second rack of my oven, and only one sheet at a time, or else they do not cook properly. I can only fit in 8 at the time. But it's little things that you learn along the way, and like I said, it could be different for everyone. Yours could bake perfectly fine adding 2 sheets and, you know, making it, you know, having faster cookies done in less time. Mine don't. So once these have cooled down just slightly, I go ahead and add the glaze to my crumb or coffee crumb, or whatever you want to call it. I called it morning coffee cookies. This glaze I did do by adding 2 cups of powdered sugar, and you want to start off with a little bit of milk. I did do it a little bit on the thicker side because I wanted that thick glaze. I love the diversity of crunch, of texture, so that's what I went ahead and did. Start off just adding 2 tablespoons, which you'll eventually need 3 to 4 tablespoons. Like I said, add as you go. You can always add more. You can never go back. Well, yeah, you can add more powdered sugar, but then you would have a lot of leftovers. So that's that. And also it sets beautifully. Like, even if your cookies are warm, it starts setting already. It's something that I always had an issue with, or I don't know, well, at least when I was like baking when I was 15, and I would try and do like glazed cookies, glazed donuts, my glaze never tasted like the glaze from Krispy Kreme, or you know, or just like store-bought donuts. But this glaze was phenomenal. I also did go ahead and do a streusel topping, which, like I said, I'll leave the recipe down below that you guys can make it. I literally just put everything in a bowl, mix it together, and I go ahead and pop it in the oven for 5 to 7 minutes until it's nice and crunchy. And I just let it cool down and used it the next day. It's little things like that that I can make the day before, that I'm not stressing on the day of. But this is my streusel topping that I did, and it added a nice little crunch. Obviously, just go ahead and add it to the top of each cookie. And these are the flavors that I ended up doing: Oreo, Biscoff, red velvet, milk chocolate, birthday cake, and I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, my coffee crumb cookie. I hope you guys like this video, and I hope it gave you an idea as to new flavor combinations you can do for your business. Like I said, I'll leave the alternations that I ended up doing to my recipe so you guys can go ahead and make it, as well as, you know, everything linked down below that you can possibly need. You guys know that I do give each cookie $7 for one, $27 for 4-pack, $38 for a 6-pack, and $72 for a 12-pack if I'm not mistaken. These cookies have always done phenomenal for me. No one has ever said, oh, it's too expensive, or that I thought I wouldn't get any sales because of the price. Well, most of anything, I know my worth, and I know how much these cookies, it's not like your basic cookie that you're literally scooping out, just popping in the oven, ready, set, go. It's, you know, rolling each one, making sure it's the correct measurements. Even just little things like adding it into the bag and putting it in the freezer is an extra step. It's not your typical cookie, so don't lowball yourself. Believe me, a crumble cookie opened at the same time that I was starting this, and I thought that would have taken away, since obviously crumble cookie is way better known than a small business like me, and it did absolutely nothing to my business. I still had great amount of sales and even more people wanting to try them. So don't give up, don't lowball yourself. Obviously in the beginning, no one gets the hype until, you know, they start trying it, and or at least in my business, a lot of people started posting them on their stories. I started resharing, and people were, you know, they were like, okay, let's see the hype of it. And never did I have to lowball myself, and, you know, instead of giving it its value that it was needed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.